My name is AJ Adkins. I work for Dawn Equipment Company. My title is a made-up title of Complete Implement Specialist. All that means is I'm the guy that when a guy wants to put together a strip till system or a cover crop interseeder, comes to me and we sit down and figure out what size toolbar, if it's a pull type, front fold toolbar, whatever we're going to do, and then what kind of meter or what kind of delivery system we're going to use there, and kind of package everything together that fits that customer and his operation the best. The National Strip-Till Conference, I've been here, I believe, every year, and I believe we said this was the 6th year. This will be my 6th year being here. Every year, this is where the top farmers are coming. This is guys that have been strip-tilling for over 20 years. This is where guys that are looking at getting from full tillage into strip-till, all the way to guys that have been long-term no-till and are looking at getting back into strip-till. So this is where everybody is. This is where we can sit and we can talk to these guys and figure out where their head's at, where they're wanting to see the industry go, what they're wanting us to do with our products, and what fits best. So the Strip-Till Conference is very similar to, I tell a lot of people, the No-Till Conference. I've been to the No-Till Conference, I believe, right at 10 times, a little over 10 times. I enjoyed the No-Till Conference. I went there as a farmer. Roundtable sessions were my favorite. I enjoy sitting down, at the time when I was farming, sitting down with the guy, with the farmer and the group of farmers and talking to them. So the big thing is looking at the market. Every year when I come to the Strip-Till Conference, there's two things that guys are looking at. The guys are sitting down, they're looking at, and they're arguing fall versus spring strips. What's the best way to do it? When do we want to do it? And they're looking at coulter versus shank units. And every year you talk to a guy and he's got to be fall and he's got to be shank and he's got to go deep and break up that compaction. You talk to him next year and, well, we brought in some cover crops and we didn't have a good fall, so we did it in the spring and we used a coulter machine. And from now on, spring and coulter and cover crop is the only way to go, and that's what works for our farm. That's what everybody should be doing. You talk to his neighbor and he's the complete opposite. So every year it's changing, it's evolving. Guys, what works one year and what is the only way that it should work one year, they feel the next year, all the way threw that out the window. We had to get a different tool. So going back and looking at Dawn, we've got to have one tool, a machine that we can work in the fall and a machine that we can work in the spring, whether we're going into a stale seed bed, whether we're going into corn on corn, or if we're going into cover crop. It's been a really sweet spot for us, and it's been a good marriage with our underground ag and Dawn Equipment to marry cover crops and strip till together and get a good system to work there and a good pathway for that farmer to get into that transition. So the big thing with looking at the strip till side is, as of this year, we've had a hydraulic down pressure system, which we'll talk about. But with this system, we've got hydraulic down pressure, and now this past spring we were able to implement an up pressure as well. So that means when I'm going out in the spring and I get into a wetter year, typically where I'd want the down pressure to get that 4 or 5 inch depth, it's now a wet season. I don't have time to let it dry out. So now when that unit would typically want to go too deep and get too aggressive and start plugging up, I can take that row unit that weighs 700 pounds, I can take all the weight off of that row unit and now just run with the gauge wheels and get it right where I want it to be, and run that unit either as a strip freshener or run that unit and go into a wetter soil and kind of push where we probably need to be out there. But in a year like 2019, we didn't have an option. We had to get out there, make the strips, get a little bit of fertilizer in there, and then bring the planter in behind it. And when the planter gets there, it's a nice, warm, dry seed bed, and it's not as wet as it is on the neighbor's farm. When we're looking at the Gen 5 unit, the big thing is consistency. When we came out with this unit, consistency was the goal. That's what we were after. We went to a hydraulic down pressure system. We've got a sensor on every row. So that means when I'm in the field, whether it's a 12 row, a 16 row, a 24 row, rows 1 through 24 are all sensing independently what is going on in the field. So when I get one row into a tire track, which we always do, a tire track or into a compacted area, that one row senses that and it pushes that unit in the ground where it needs to be. So with the Gen 5 unit, consistency is the key, is the goal. As far as I know, we have the only unit that has that system that's built into an automated independent down pressure system throughout the entire strip till bar. That's what sets us off. It's the same technology that we saw in the planter. Why planters and hydraulic down pressure on a planter was critical, was the goal. We transitioned that into strip till. And it's just as critical. That first pass with the strip till unit is just as important when the planter gets there as it is when we first make it in the spring. The Black Dawn 1 is a toolbar that we built in-house specifically for the Dawn Pluribus unit. In the past 4 or 5 years, we've been able to offer not just the Pluribus unit, but a unit with another manufacturer's toolbar and with another manufacturer's fertilized metering system. As of this year, we're now offering the Black Dawn 1. It's a 16 row 30, 24 row 30, and a 24 row 22 configuration. So that system is designed specifically for the Dawn Pluribus unit. Comes to the field, toolbar height is exactly where it needs to be. This system implements, the major goal was a narrower transport width and a lower overall height at transport. In the past, we struggled with getting a mounted fertilizer system on a front fold bar that was under 16 to 17 feet transport height. We've accomplished that with the system. It's well under that. I think we're closer to 14 feet transport height. And the reason we were able to do that is we used a Montag fertilizer meter, the bare meter on the bottom. We built a hopper that's a lower profile and it's wider. So we still have that 9-ton capacity, but we're much lower than where we used to be in the past. So when we go into transport, we don't have to watch the power lines. It's also a narrower unit. In the past, we had used another manufacturer's toolbar that held up really well, but it was very wide. So going to a narrower toolbar helps us in transport. The Black Dawn 1 toolbar also has implemented a wing down pressure system. So I can take all the weight on the fertilizer meter sitting in the center of the toolbar and use that weight and move it to the outside of the wings. So that row by row accuracy, the consistency that we were talking about is moved into from row 1 to 24, and those outside rows have enough pressure to keep that toolbar down and in the ground. We've also implemented a few other things to make it easier hooking up to a tractor. The hydraulic requirements are much easier. We run a lot less hydraulic hoses. So virtually any tractor with hydraulic pump can hook up to it with an adequate hydraulic capacity, can be able to run that system. So we've taken everything we've learned in the past 5 years and even the years previously when we had the Paradigm Planner and some other stuff that we've taken and kind of combined all that into this toolbar specific for the Dawn Pluribus and the Gen 5 row unit. So it's something we're really excited about and ready to take to the market. As far as the conference in general, I love it. This is something that every year we sit down and look at trade shows. What are we doing with trade shows? Are trade shows dying off? Are they something that we need to be at? They're expensive to be at. And every year we sit back and it seems like typically we're cutting back on the trade shows that we're doing. We've got a lot more marketing and social media, different platforms there. But the conferences are always the ones that we have to be at. No-till, strip-till conference. Guys are paying money to be here, and they're paying good money to be here to do this, and it's something that they are coming back year to year to be at. So they see the value of being here, and then be able to talk to us, the manufacturers, and allowing us as the manufacturers to be here and interact with them is by far the best thing. When you go to a trade show, they're showing up and they're walking up to see, where's the free hats, where's the free yardstick. They can come here and they don't care about the yardstick, they don't care about the hats. They want questions answered and they want to learn. And that's why we enjoy being here talking to these guys, because these are valued customers and these are guys that know their operations and what they're doing with their operations. They're efficient and they're practical in everything they're doing. And if they're here, this is where we want to be too.